Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, welcome back. How are we?
Welcome back to Feral Friends. We hope you're all doing well. How are you, Efiba?
I'm good, still alive. How are you?
Still
What's going
trucking?
on?
You've got to say your
Yes,
catchphrase. It's your
I'm still
catchphrase.
alive, still trucking,
Still
still
hashtag still
moving.
trucking, still moving.
Unlike
Unlike
someone
me.
else
What
we
do you
can
mean?
mention. Well, we'll get to that. But how have you
Yeah.
been? How's your week? What's been happening?
It's been good. It's been a bit difficult because we're just well, basically Mutti, Angela Merkel, Mutti as she's known here, has taken control of the corona situation now. And depending on how high the infection rate is, we're gonna have like a curfew, a 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. We're not allowed to be outside. We're not gonna be able to meet with it's gonna be, and they're saying maybe until mid-June this might be.
Really?
Yeah, so it's a bit like this is just never ending now. Trying to stay positive.
Literally.
Yeah. So that's annoying, but otherwise I'm well, I'm healthy, I have a roof over my head, I can't complain.
Yeah.
Mustn't grumble.
This is true. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they were saying they were going to end the state of alarm here soon.
Do you know what? You just false friended yourself. It's the state of emergency, because I know in Spanish
I don't
it's
know
estado
what
de
it is.
alarma, but in Anglais it's saying state of emergency. Sorry, John's explaining. Okay. Continue. I apologize.
Absolutely fine. No. I learned something today. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
But yeah, so they're going to end that soon. So I assume that means.
So what does that mean then? Like
that we won't have a curfew anymore.
Sex in the street.
But I don't think it's going to be a case of them opening clubs and things like that. I think we've got a while to go before we get to that point. But I think that it means that we won't have a curfew anymore. But I don't know if...
So you'll be out all night, I'm sure. Walking
out all night where?
I don't know.
The thing is, because I didn't realise last time when I spoke about it, we're not supposed to have anybody around.
You did say that you don't know the rules last time.
I don't know the rules.
And you don't know
Not that I've been doing anything.
Also, wait, can I just say, can we have a round of applause? Now Efiba has sexual lighting. Look at the beauty.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I've literally just been like, this is incredible. Right? Like, if I could walk around with one of these bad boys, that would be...
I want one to strap onto me, just to have...
Like, I know. You just need some random person with it strapped on their back following you. It's actually quite light.
It is really light. It's very portable, and I would highly recommend that people get one.
Yeah, it's the way forward.
So I guess the big one, well, there's two big deaths this week. The one that we actually care about is DMX, which is really, really tragic.
Yeah, I'm not going to do my impression. You're going to make me.
Love that. Love Pitbull, man. So good. Not Pitbull as in Dale, but you know, he sounds like a Pitbull. It's really sad. He was 50 and
really, really sad. And, I heard that story about his mentor when he was like 14 years old, who like laced his spliff with crack, and that's what started the whole problem in the first place. Poor bugger. It's awful. Really, so messed up, poor guy. But I saw loads
talented guy. But people, I mean, there were people, people keep holding vigil outside his, hospital room and stuff. Like I hope he knew that, like, people.
Yeah. Well, there was an interview where he said, if I was to drop down dead tomorrow, I know I can say I lived a good life.
Okay.
So that, and then I saw a video of him dancing with his daughter at her quinceañera. It was really cute. And also my favorite is when he does the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer version. That is amazing. I love that.
That's brilliant. There, I suppose we have to be, he had a lot of homophobic lyrics, a lot.
Yes, that is true.
Which is always really conflicting, because it's like with Bashment and Dancehall, like I love that music so much, but they don't like guys like me.
You like to shake.
It's very conflicting, but regardless, he was a very talented guy and he will be missed. Unlike the chief head Dusty, and I have to just give a shout out to Sarah at this point, because the term Dusty is a Sarah invention. Sarah is
excellent.
Northern
Thank
girl
you, Sarah.
extraordinaire who's my fairy godmother when I moved to Berlin and showed me the ropes and is dear, dear friend.
Love her.
And yeah, so he is the dusty head colonizer is no longer with us.
Well, I saw quite a few funny things because they were calling him the husband because they are second cousins. And it was just like the dead husband, the crypt keeper, the Horcrux, animated.
Yeah, I mean...
everything.
What can we say?
You know what I found really weird though? Were when I saw like young people or people of color saying you will be missed or it's a sad loss. And it was like, are you mad? He hated you. He was a nasty racist. Well, I'm not even going to say it.
I mean, I just think as well, do you know what I did find
quite
encouraging from this is that basically, because obviously I was so surprised they did this. They turned off all programming on like the BBC.
What the hell?
Like,
how rude.
Right? Tributes to Prince Philip. And they had the highest number of complaints they've ever had because people were like, are you serious? Like, you're in the middle of a pandemic. We need to know what's going on. And you're turning, like, people wouldn't, it was like 100,000 complaints or something.
Yeah, because so basically it was BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, and Channel 4 was like, yeah, that's not happening.
And their ratings all dropped. Channel 4
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, which is perfect. But it's just sort of like he didn't do anything.
No,
he didn't he was the biggest welfare sponger available, and he did fuck all.
And going on about immigrants, this and that, and it's like his name was like Philippos Glucksberg, Habsburg, Schleswig, Blinkenstein or something.
He was a Nazi.
Come on.
He was a goddamn
His family
Nazi.
were definitely Nazis.
That's where Harry probably got that outfit from.
He fought against the Nazis. We can't call him a Nazi, like, but his family were definitely Nazis.
And he went to their funerals and cried for them whilst they were draped in Nazi flags. So I'm sorry.
I mean, look, that's in The Crown. No. I don't know if that actually happened. Like, maybe it
did. The Crown is real.
I mean, yeah, The Crown is a documentary.
The Crown is totally real.
I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear for him. Like, he was 99 as well, and
he was rude.
The fact that people keep on going on about like he did so much, it's like, let's break it down. What did he do? He set up the Duke of Edinburgh Award, right? Which, fair enough, helps a lot of people. That's very good. Not taking anything away from that. But when you're in a position of incredible wealth and power and influence, like,
and that's all you've done.
Gonna do? No, but what else are you going to do? That's the fucking.
And he had to. He had to because it's part of his duties.
Exactly.
Also, they talk about this whole romance with the Queen. He cheated on her the whole time. He only married her because he had to. He had no choice.
What? In all of this, I do feel sorry. As a human being, I feel sorry for the Queen because, obviously my grandparents, like when you're married to someone for that long, and I do believe that she really loved him. I think that's a lot. They've been together nearly their entire life. She's known him since she was 13 when they met at the family picnic. Like, so I feel I have empathy.
So creepy.
I have empathy for her on that respect, would you? On that level.
You know how I feel about
but anyway, good luck to him. Hope he's swimming around in purgatory wherever he is. I don't know. So this week in the UK, the pubs reopened. And I have to say, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought I would be seeing absolute carnage.
I wanted to see. You remember that picture? I went that image of, was it New Year's or Christmas?
And that guy on like a Hieronymus von Bosch painting.
Yeah. I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
And all we got were some girls at 8 o'clock at the pub.
And there were some people singing in Soho. It was all very nice and sat down and tame. And I was very disappointed.
Civil. It was like, what's going on? I was a little disappointed.
Right? I'm happy for people that in the UK, that they are able to be a bit normal.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed, but a little.
Do better, right? Come on.
Yeah, try harder.
Do better. Do you know that there is only 1 month I can barely contain my excitement. There is only 1 month to go until the Eurovision Song Contest 2021.
Oh my God, you're obsessed.
I'm so excited.
You are obsessed. Have they started? Are they actually going to do it?
Yes, I'm not sure about if there'll be an audience, but they basically, this is how organized Eurovision is. They basically, after last year's fiasco, they had like all these different contingency plans for this year to ensure that whatever the COVID situation.
How are you not working for Eurovision? This is what I want to know. I don't understand how this is happening.
And so they've got all these different like scenario A, B, C, and I'm not sure which one's going to happen, but there will be a live show, basically.
And there will be the actual competition.
There will be the actual
it
is taking place, whether or not, they may have to come with a streamlined crew. They're not allowed to bring so many people with them. The acts, fine. Like, maybe there won't be an audience, but
like what they did at the award ceremonies.
Yeah. But Eurovision is going ahead.
Oh my gosh, have they started releasing the entries yet?
Interestingly, that's subjective. Most of the acts that were meant to perform last year are coming back this year. So, but some of them with a different song.
So they get a second shot. That's nice.
It's good
because I would have been pissed.
Yeah, right. That's a big, huge stage, Eurovision. So I'm very excited. This is about the time when I start to do a deep dive into the songs, get to know them. Oh my god,
you're like Dommy. He does that. He like checks them all out.
Efiba's flatmate is
obsessed.
Eurovision freak.
Obsessed.
So I'm very excited, basically, and I just wanted to let everyone know.
Well, that's good news. So you can throw yourself into that.
Very good news. Yeah.
Yes. And then obviously the other big news story that's been going around recently is with Dante Wright, his murder, which is just another one again. And it's so sad because he was 20, or was it 21? 20, I think.
20.
Yeah. He was 20 years old, and they literally...
they
stopped him for saying you had too many air fresheners, and then the barefaced lies, because it's literally like how to get away with murder because so you don't get prosecuted, lying, saying I thought it was my taser, even though the weight's different, like and she had to take off the safety.
25-year-old police.
Yeah, it's just sort of, it's disgusting. It's terrifying. It makes me so angry. And I just saw the videos of the family, like the sister, the grandmother, the auntie, all of them. And it's heartbreaking. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. And it's just like, when is this? And during this whole trial.
During the trial, and it's in the same city.
Yeah.
And it's in the same fucking
And they said like with George Floyd, how his sister or teacher, like or someone was related, someone was the teacher of him, and they were all connected. It's horrible.
I don't know what to say, to be honest, because I just don't.
And she got let off. And you know what she said?
Well, I just found out basically.
I've loved every minute.
She's the police officer now that I don't know what her name is, Kim Porter or something, I think she's called. She's being prosecuted for manslaughter.
Good.
Which at first I was like, oh, but because it should be murder, but then I guess manslaughter is probably easy to make stick than murder, because how can you prove the intent?
She needs to get on something. She needs to be done with something.
Honestly, it's like George Floyd all over again. But then I've seen so many posts as well from Black people in America saying like, this time nobody, like when they've gone to work, like nobody asks them how they are. Like it's like things
no one cares.
No one cares. Back to business as usual now.
Well, this is the other thing, because I was looking at this thing and they were talking about how with this whole trial, how it's been dragged out, and it's like, with due process, and you get like benefit of the doubt, and it's like he didn't, first of all, and it's just sort of like gaslighting everyone into thinking maybe possibly it was an accident. Everyone saw him murder a man and kill him and do something wrong. Why is it taking this long to come to a decision to just say you need to go to jail?
What can we say? America is broken beyond
it's horrible,
beyond breaking.
Because I would like to go back and to New York and hang out and enjoy that, but I'm just sort of like, this just sickens me to my stomach.
I'm too like,
it's not right, and it normalizes it.
Honestly, I can't talk about this because
mate, you're gonna have to.
It's like, no, I just think like, there's nothing to say. Like, stop fucking killing Black people. It's that simple. There's nothing to say. And if you kill a Black person, if a police officer, then you get prosecuted and you go to prison. Like, there's nothing else to say. Stop fucking killing us.
Yeah.
So we're doing what have the Tories done now this week?
Oh God! What have they done
to lighten the mood?
La la, I'm breezy.
To lighten the mood, it is time for
tell me.
What have those fucking Tories done? All right, so this week I have kind of like made a commitment or a pledge to myself to not go too deep into sink too deep into the Tory cesspit, because I'm actively trying.
You really are, and I'm really
protect
impressed.
my mental health, because as much as I want to share things with you guys, like, it's damaging to me. So I have this big story right now. It's called the Greensill scandal, right?
Okay.
So I've read around the edges of this. I haven't, because it's too much. So basically, ex-Prime Minister, alleged pig fucker, David Cameron, basically, after he left office, he got offered shares in this company called the Greensill, right?
Okay.
And he was kind of like a consultant or something for this company. And it was run by this
which he knows nothing about.
Which he knows nothing, but he can do it because he's David Cameron, right?
Right.
That's
the super brain that is.
Spoiled, sweet, thin-lipped, Imhotep skin,
gash mouth.
Gash mouth.
Oh my god!
It's like someone just went. It's like Chelsea Smiler mouth, bro.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So basically, this mate is called this super rich Australian guy called Lex Greenhill, and runs this company.
He sounds like a villain,
right?
Superhero villain.
Anyone called Lex sounds like a fucking villain, right? And the company is called Greensill Original. So this company is really poorly run and gets fucked, and they're like about to close down. And so during Corona, the government were offering these like emergency loans, apparently, to businesses.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, apparently. And David Cameron was messaging the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, on his phone, like, all right, mate, help me out. Like, sort me out. Can I get this loan? Like, basically avoiding all the official channels, just like you like Tory, like corruption, basically.
Right.
And now
that's totally illegal.
That's totally illegal. Of course it is. And now this has all come out. And everyone is like, Labour are like calling for this inquiry, that inquiry. The Conservatives
but
the Conservatives have said that they're going to launch their own inquiry into this, which will obviously be
because that makes sense.
Completely, they're going to mark their own homework again.
Are you serious?
Right after they've just released this fucking joke of a race report.
Oh my god.
Right. And so and David Cameron was like, oh, I should have. It was wrong, but I should have done it a different way. And then now that's it. It's just going to go away like it does every time. And
they don't even care anymore.
They are just
how much money? Do you know how much money they gave them?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's millions.
I don't know. But basically, they're all hiding. Rishi Sunak's not doing like interviews. David Cameron hasn't done an interview. Boris obviously is dodging every fucking question about it. And they're just a bunch of thieves and scoundrels.
Ugh. Yeah, that's making light of it. It's like,
I mean, I have to though, because
these and scandals.
So the fuckery,
but it's just so brazen now. It's so brazen, and it's just like thrown in your face. And it's like we can do what we want, and we literally don't care.
But they don't want to turn around,
rub it in your face. It's like taking a dirty nappy, a baby's nappy, and smearing it on someone's face, and just being like, "What you can do about it? Nothing." Yeah. That's what. Awful.
But now then they want to turn around and say about how other countries
I'm glad
corrupt,
you live alone. Swinging from the bottle.
Listen, my house, my fucking rules, yeah?
True.
You keep your opinion to yourself, lassie. All right, let's leave the Tories in the dirt where they belong and move on
those
to
filthy beasts.
Filthy, disgusting animals. Our main topic this week is race.
Yes.
Awkward emoji. I feel like we should start with a disclaimer. If you have high levels of caucasity, you should probably exit now.
Just leave. No one cares. Bugger off. Actually, stick around. You might learn something. Well, yeah. And if you do get offended, good.
I hope your sphincter contracts to dangerously small levels.
Exactly. That you can pick up the sofa.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, where to start? Well, God, it's so vast, this topic, and we could probably talk about it for 17 hours. We're not going to, don't worry.
No.
I guess we should start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
A very good place to start.
Isn't it?
I mean, well,
I thought we were going to sing through it. We could do like a race musical.
We could do like a Buffy the Vampire. R-A-C-E, race. Oh
my God, I could Fosse through it. Okay. Focus.
Silence. All right. Well, obviously, the race as we know it is a pretty modern invention, right? Like, the ancient peoples didn't. They that they obviously knew that people look different from each other, but there was no the hierarchy wasn't according to race.
No.
Right.
Although history books would have you believe that.
Yeah. They're trying to sell it.
They would have you believe that.
Yeah. They're trying to talk it up. Like,
absolutely.
But I suppose the modern invention of race, of our wonderful system which we live under, is kind of about 400 or 500 years old.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like, I mean, basically, you know, the white people invented race this is my personal theory. White people invented race to alleviate the guilt and the dehumanization of the giant piece of the soul that they put in a Horcrux somewhere when they decided to brutalize and enslave black people. Freudian slave.
If they'd done it to their own, it was they started with their own, and then they were like,
do you know what I mean?
Actually, let's
branch out. Because there is no way that human beings can treat other human beings like that, as white people have treated black people, and not lose a part of their humanity in some way.
No, absolutely.
So I feel like it's an excuse, saying all this stuff about black people are whatever, inferior in this way, that way,
it was like you weren't even really human.
No,
it was like you were subhuman. You were chattel, treated like an animal, hence all the brutality and the chains and everything, like you would with cattle.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just the dehumanization, just to justify their means to an end and promote their religion and give the excuse for their religion as well, which is the basis of it too. That plays a huge part in it, definitely. And not just in Christianity, you can see it within other religions.
Within lots of religions.
Yeah, with for example, the caste system in India.
Yeah. Well, I mean, racism and white supremacy is just another form of a caste system.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. Hence why Gandhi, when everyone says he was such a nice guy, he was all against segregation, and he touched his niece's
he was
creepy bugger.
He was pro-segregation. He was not.
He was pro. That's what I meant. Yeah, he was pro-segregation, and he was a pervert. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, Gandhi. It's like, get out.
Well, no, look, at the end of the day, Gandhi achieved incredible things. He was also a racist and a sex pervert. Two things can be true at the same time. That doesn't,
but let's not forget the other, because people never talk about
No, of course not.
Dirty bugger. And I've seen those sandals and those toes.
Where was the mine?
He's got
knuckles.
Some serious
he needs some lotion on those knuckles.
Seriously,
the kind of the beginnings of the invention of race, like when it began to be codified, that I learned there are these things in 1661 that were published called the Barbados Slave Codes.
Oh gosh.
Which were basically laws, the first kind of laws to govern black people and to classify black people as less than human, stripping them of their rights, saying that white people could basically do what they wanted, to treat them as chattel, saying that black people are brutish and heathenish, right?
So we were the savages, right? But then you had the King of Belgium, who would, if he didn't get his rubber supplies, he would make it up in the weight of the hands and feet of the children of the workers and cut them off. And so there's a famous picture with all their little hands and feet, and this father just sat there crying. And it's just like, what kind of savagery is that? And it's like, you go to these and it's like, we're bringing civilization. It's like, who does that?
I know. Well, look, so basically these, let's try and not rant too much, because
I know. It's really hard though.
I know.
It's really hard.
So these slave codes basically are the beginning, and then they were exported to like most of the other British colonies in the Caribbean, and then to the US and blah blah blah. And then you move on to like the 18th century, and the enlightenment happens. And also this week, hopefully, if I'm able to be editing Wiz, there's going to be flashing images, not flashing images, but you're going to have some pop-up slides to learn about stuff as well.
You don't have to explain it.
I know, but I'm just really excited.
I know you're excited. Just leave it alone.
So, but basically, yeah, you know, and the enlightenment is supposed to be this time of like, you know, people throwing off the shackles of God and believing in science, but it also goes hand in hand with like all these philosophers like Voltaire and stuff saying basically philosophizing that Black people are inferior because they were trying to understand how it had been so easy for white people to conquer African societies and stuff, and they just came to the conclusion, as you would of course, that it must be because Black people are in some way inferior, not just because maybe they weren't as advanced at making war as you were.
And it's like they created some of the earliest civilizations. Most of the great inventions that have come about have come from Black people, things that we use in our everyday lives. And it's just a case of, all right, then you go ahead, please explain.
I watched an interesting video the other day that was kind of explaining why at that period in time Africa was kind of ripe for colonization. And they were saying that basically in the 1,000 years before colonization happened, so when Europe was in the Dark Ages, that's when African societies were like flourishing. You had like Mali Empire of Ghana, Benin, all these places, right? Yeah, drug nuts, drug berries. And they traded across the Sahara, and Constantinople was kind of the linchpin of that trade system, and so they were super rich, making all these amazing advances.
Well, the richest man in the world was King Mansa Musa.
Exactly. No, and then basically with the fall of Constantinople in 1453 and the discovery that you could go around Africa to get to Asia, those trade routes fell out of use, so the economies went to shit in these African states, and they entered their kind of Middle Ages, Dark Ages, where they were infighting, and so they, you know, and also the Europeans arrived just at that time,
point. But I think another massive part of it was the fact that they were very clever in the way that they did the divide and conquer, where they literally split up countries and divided them even smaller, divided tribes, and then on top of that, one of the key things, so when we see the reemergence of in Asia, how they recovered afterwards, they never lost their religion. I think this was one of the key factors where Africans actually let go of the religion and their indigenous religion, because it was always taught as shame and embarrassment. And well, when you speak about it now, people are like, in the films, voodoo, reanimated corpses, bring back Philip. But it's
no, don't leave him where he is.
But it's a case of, it's not like that. It makes more sense than Christianity. I'll tell you that for something.
I mean, the little I know about about African religions, it makes far more sense to me.
It's all reciprocation.
Like granddad in the sky with a beard.
Sky wizard. It's all about reciprocation, and basically you give something, you get it back, whether it's good or bad. So if you ask for something bad, you better be serious about it and mean it, because it will come back on you tenfold. So, you know, that's more so than like the sky wizard.
Oh, you're talking about African religions.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Thanks for focusing.
I know. Sorry, I just zoned out there for a minute. Well, I mean, that's karma, right? Hopefully
more or less. You can make small or large offerings in that sense. You know how I feel about religion, but if it makes people better people and conscious of their actions,
no,
we're not going to go on that.
But I think as well, one of the people always say like, oh, but Africans sound Africans, and what people forget is that you know, at this time, they didn't think of themselves as Africans. They thought of themselves as from Benin or from Ife or from somewhere else, right? So they were selling, it was like French people selling Spanish people or German people. They didn't consider themselves to be the same, right? So that's one argument that people always say.
Yeah, they're like, they were doing it, but the thing is, when they had slavery within the tribes, it was a case of you were integrated into the tribe. You would become part of the tribe. You were not treated in this animalistic way and abused and brutalized. It was never like that. So it was a whole different concept. So that can be thrown out window.
Yeah, completely. I mean, right. So then after the Enlightenment and all this nonsense, then you get on into the 19th century, which is when they, on the back of the Enlightenment racist ideas, they start to build all these pseudosciences, right? Trying to find some kind of a scientific basis for Black people being inferior. And I mean, there are so many examples of this. There's this one where there was some scientist who actually thought that the reason that Black people have broad noses is because the baby in the womb gets squashed when the mother is picking cotton in the fields or cutting sugarcane, because the baby's face is squished against the pelvis or whatever, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all of these crazy, outlandish, ridiculous theories, but like that.
That person is really dumb, right? And they listen to that,
right? And then,
wow.
Yeah. And then at the end of the 19th century, you get like the birth of eugenics, which is the big daddy of bullshit racial pseudoscience.
This is why I hate that Sapiens book, because that guy, he touches on this obviously with the Homo sapiens and everything and the different, and it's very dangerous. It's what he says in it. He literally just dips in and then doesn't finish what he's saying. And loads of people were like, loved the book, bought the book. It was like a bestseller. I don't think most people bloody read it, to be honest, or finished it.
I have it here. I've never read it.
It's awful. It's horribly written, just so you know. It's a case of he touches on the subject, dips into it, doesn't complete what his statement is, but just leaves that seed there, saying that there is this intrinsic difference. And it's just like, that's such a dangerous thing to do in this day and age now. How dare you? And not even follow up with an explanation or clean up after your mess. Basically, and I hated it. It really upset me.
Don't discuss eugenics. Like, don't even talk about it. Like, why are you even... unless it's put it in its historical context, why are you talking about it? Like, it's bullshit. It's racist. It was invented by racist white people to try and...
It's like, why are you so obsessed with us?
Yeah,
seriously, just go away.
Eugenics ultimately is what led to the Holocaust. Eugenics is what leads to the genocides of the 20th century, right? Because it's putting that, it's labeling the differences between human beings at a genetic level, which is a lie, right? They've proven now that we are all basically the same. We are the same.
It all began in Africa,
but we're the same. So, I mean, I feel like this kind of goes on to the next point quite well, sliding into the DM. I think this is going to be really controversial, but I think it's true, because the more I live life and the more I read and the more I see things that are going on in the world, I really do, and there is an academic theory behind this as well. I'm really coming around to the idea of whiteness being like a virus, like a disease, like a psychosis,
and it's affected everyone, every reach of the planet,
everybody,
and it's got nothing to do. It's basically it's a problem, and it affects everybody. It's a huge problem that affects everybody, and it's a case of, why are we not looking at it as that and being like, this is the problem, as opposed to saying everyone learn to adapt to the problem?
That's the genius of this, let's call it a virus, right? Is that the people it infects, they don't know they have it. So that's when, where the whole white fragility thing comes in. I'm thinking of Sharon Osbourne.
Oh my God, that's
fucking Botox face off, right?
Anyway, as for that cat's extra, she needs to calm down.
She is Bride of Wildenstein, Mark. She's just do you know what she is? She's a fishwife. Sharon Osbourne.
Shout out.
Anyway, right, but you see that kind of reaction, right? That crazy triggered reaction. It's like that. It's like the
personal attack,
right? The virus switches on at that point,
and it's like, hold on, you're not the victim here.
No, of course not.
You're not the one who's had something, but you turned it around and made it about you, and it's just sort of like there's this, and it was just sort of like this continuous theme she was defending Piers Morgan, and how it was women, because obviously there was a whole thing with the suffragettes and how, you know, they like with women, and they were they'll support a cause and get behind you, but only until they get what they want. And then when it comes to the black race, then they'll be like, no, whatever. So the suffragettes, most of them were racist. They didn't want rights for black women. So that's upsetting. And it's also, but you want us to get behind you and help you and support you. So Sharon Osbourne is the kind of woman who would be like, oh, well, come on, ladies, let's get together. But then it's like she will support some nasty man and get behind him because he's her buddy, and then like attack everyone else.
But don't.
And then once she gets called out on her shit, then she gets all upset.
But don't call her a racist. I mean, look, but that's what I'm saying.
It infuriates me.
I know you need to like breathe. I'm surprised that you're the one that's like normally it's
I know. I'm enraged. You know what? It's because I went to the supermarket earlier and I got.
You have residual Caucasian rage. But yeah, no, I really do believe that it's a disease, and white people and all of us actually, but obviously white people are more affected than the rest of us, are in some stage of recovery from this disease, right? And there are like those white people who are full 28 days
residual
later,
trauma.
still like, right, just fully in the miasma. And then there are those who are like doing the work to recover from this disease. But I think until we as a society can accept that this is the truth of this, because, you know, nobody is born racist. No, you kids don't, you know.
No, it's learned.
It's learned. And it's a learned disease. So we need to.
But because it's so insidious in our society, we don't even realize we're learning it. There are certain things.
No.
So, for example, we both had this experience when we were growing up with school friends, obviously going to certain schools, like, even now you have some people, they're like, oh, you very posh, or you don't, like some people, well, not really much now, but before, I remember it's like, you don't sound black, or they thought I was white on the phone. And then it's like, when they see me, they'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just these kind of micro aggressions of this kind of bullshit. And it was accepted and it was normal, and people are like, well, that's not really bad, and it's sort of like a compliment. It's like, how is that a compliment, you asshole?
You're skipping ahead. You're full of rage today. You're full of rage and a little bit of wine at this point.
I know. I literally chill out. I should really.
I was like, she's talking about.
No, I'm not. That was my first glass. I need to top it up.
We're talking about intersectionality before we talk about microaggressions. But what have you got? Someone there filling you up?
No, I wish I had. I was hoping. Garçon.
So basically, no, because I feel like intersectionality, what you're saying is completely true. We're going to talk about that. But I feel like that. So do you know what intersectionality means?
No.
If
I'm brutally honest,
but I feel
I
like
don't.
It's something that you hear quite frequently nowadays, right?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that.
I probably don't know the title.
But you've heard of the term before, yeah?
Yes, I've heard of the term, but I just haven't associated it with anything.
Okay, no shame. It's fine. We're all here to learn.
Teach me, John.
Because intersectionality, it's nothing to do with hairstyles, which it could be, because it could be some kind of new hair coloring scheme. Balayage? No? Is that no? Okay.
No.
Intersectionality.
I know it's not that.
I know, right. But it just came to me though. The way I understand intersectionality is that it's basically like a framework to discuss the ways in which different layers of oppression intersect. What were you going to say?
Intersexuality.
That's actually a real thing, though. You can be,
I know.
Not intersexual. You can be intersex.
I know. No, but I suddenly just thought like intersexuality. Okay.
So you're just cheapening the struggle, basically.
Go on, please.
Well done. But no. Continue. Intersectionality is a framework through which we can understand the ways that different types of oppression and different layers of oppression intersect, hence intersection. I was going to say intersexuality. Intersectionality. For example, I'm coming out as a black man, right? So
Get
I know
out.
you'd never tell. Look, my palms are white. So as a black man, obviously I experienced racism, but then also another big shocker, I am gay. Get out of town. So I experienced racism. You would think that, okay, fine, I'm black, people are being racist to me, let's go and find solace with other black people. But then I also experienced homophobia from everybody, not just, black community, white community. So that's my intersection is like the intersection of race and sexuality. Yours would be the intersection of race and gender, because you are a black woman, so you experience sexism from all men. Not all men. And you experience racism from the whites.
From the whites, and also from my brilliance, so from the dummies.
Brilliant. Yeah, me too. There's a lot of hate.
Don't hate on me because I'm great.
So I think intersectionality is a good way to because it helps. You're on another I don't know where you want to go.
Okay, go on.
It helps. I think it helps people understand what people need, basically, because the different
okay, I understand that now, because I didn't actually realize that's what it was. It means the crossover where that issue lies.
Yeah, basically. So it's I think it's if you'd like to know more about intersectionality, the inventor of intersectionality is a lady called Kimberly Crenshaw. So you can look her up.
Hi, Kimberly.
It's Kimberly without a Y. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to learn about, just the basics of it, because I think it helps understand people more. That's that's what I think about it. Intersexuality. All right, now we can talk about microaggressions. He said, aggressing the camera. I know. Yeah.
Don't you point your finger at me.
The thing that
tell me.
I feel like the one I hate the most is fucking hair touching.
What I think is, that is
what, am I a pet to you? Am I a chia pet? Also,
but then some people might argue, you know how you have some friends with Caucasian friends who like to be petted. And they're just like, oh, I love that. But I feel like that's a different way. It's literally just a random person coming up and just putting their hands on your body. It's like being pregnant and someone just putting their hands on your belly. Not okay. It's not. I don't know. You don't touch my body. Get out.
They don't do it to each other. And if they are doing it, it's not in the sense of, ooh, exotic, what does it feel like?
Oh my God, exotic.
No, it's not. And also there's a whole history that it's not just about the intrusion and the violation of someone just touching your body without consent. There's a whole history behind it that black hair is political. We are penalized for the way our fucking hair grows out of our head. Wait, no, it's my turn to rant now.
Go on.
Because when you look back in history, they started policing black women's hair in New Orleans in the 18th century because the black women's beautiful hair was inflaming the passion of these dusty fucking plantation owners. So they made black women cover their hair. That's why a lot, hair wraps but then black women still being fierce and lit, then they would just decorate the hair wraps with beautiful shells and ribbons. And
we get it from my mama.
Beautiful portraits. We get it from my mama. So, and also,
I feel like we should have melanin as the intro this week.
I wish we had the license. It's so annoying.
Oh, God damn it.
And we get penalized for hairstyles, kids at school being sent home because they've got locks, or people at work your hair's unprofessional.
Nuts.
So don't. And then you want to wear your fucking hair in cornrows when you go to Benidorm. No.
Yeah.
Don't keep your fingers
this is the
out
thing.
of my hair.
First of all, Boris Johnson, unprofessional hair.
Wurzel Gummidge. Wurzel fucking Gummidge.
Are you mad? And it's
he's had a haircut though. I saw him today because he's had a haircut.
It was butchered as hell.
Yeah.
Sadie was our old dog. She used to get better trims than that. It was just what is that?
But he's an idiot.
Awful. But
that's my worst
you,
one. People touching my hair.
No, but do you remember that guy who was wrestling the boy, and they were like, "That's unprofessional hair for wrestling," and they literally hacked at his locks, so he could compete in the match. And it was such a dehumanizing, it was awful. It was such a horrible thing to do. And even now, there's been so many posts by, especially in the States, by TV news reporters and presenters, and they've all been reverting to wearing their hair in natural hairstyles, whether it's in braids or afro. There was one woman who wore her natural hair, and they received multiple complaints.
You keep on shaking the camera. Stop
Sorry.
touching the table.
Well, she received multiple complaints about it. And there was one woman who called in and said, "Oh, don't wear your hair like that," and like said like it looks using the I'm not even going to say it. And she was just sort of, it was just the audacity, and it was just the complaints. People bothered to call and complain about her hair.
But then when the Kardashians do it, or Miley Cyrus, everyone's like, "Oh, it looks so cool." Remember when it was that thing in Vogue, and they were trying to say, wait, when they were trying to say about like, oh, in Vogue, it was a silk press. And they were like calling it like this crystal glass diamond press. It was like, no, that's a silk press.
Why do they keep on doing this every single time? Just stealing loads of things. It's like with the whole thing. So here we have Rosalia and the nails and all of that. The things that are stolen from Black culture, because like, obviously we have a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like we make it cool, and then they want to steal it. Yeah. So it's like when we do it, we're ghetto, we're trashy, but then when they do it, it's classy, it's cool, it's fun. And that's why people get pissed off. And it's like, oh, but you straighten your hair. We had to, because we had no choice to fit in, to get jobs, to be taken seriously, to do anything. And we can do both.
Yeah,
we can do both. And it's just sort of like, but you are doing this, and it's almost like some of it is almost like a piss take.
Yeah, like when Adele
and it's offensive, because if you're going to do it right. Do it right. Otherwise, just leave it alone.
The thing is, I'm very like black hair is political to me, and you don't put your hair in cornrows. Don't do that shit. First of all, because I can see your red raw sunburn in your 2 weeks from the Dominican Republic scalp. And I don't want to see that, Monica from Friends. And also because if my mate, whoever wears the same style to work, then she's going to get told that she's everything you've just said. So hair touching, no. Another one that I fucking hate is, where are you really from?
Oh my God, I literally have had that multiple times over the phone. I'm so annoyed because I'm doing this job. And basically I'm talking to the British general public.
Great.
That's fun. And it's also like, oh, you said, and then at first they can't quite work it out. And then they'll hear my name. And the fact is, I'm so conscious that when they get my name, then they're like, oh, so where's that from? Oh, so you're not really. And it's just sort of like, okay, so my origins, obviously, which I will not deny, but ultimately, I am...
You're British. So am I.
British. Like, that's what I am.
Yeah. But I mean,
and it's just sort of like, how dare you?
Because what they're really asking...
all the time...
What they're really asking when they say that, or what they're saying is, you couldn't be British because you're black. That's what that really means.
Because if you have a Polish person who's got a name Anna, and she's like, oh, I'm from London... like she was second generation from London, they wouldn't question it. Nothing said. I saw an article about a South African woman who was like, no one asked me where I'm really from. They're like, nothing. They're just like, blonde hair, blue eyed, it's fine. But it's always like, but where are you really from? It's like, why do you fucking care?
Exactly.
What difference
that's
does
the first
it make?
question. Why do you care? And also it just goes to show how much people, and it doesn't really happen in London, but it just, especially here in Germany, it goes to show how much people's identity of like being German is still tied up with the fact that you're white. You can't be, they have this term here called Bio-Deutsch, which means kind of like root German, biologically German, which is so offensive, like, because it just shows you first of all, you don't know the fucking history. That's the other thing. It's like black people have always been in the UK. The whole reason you have all this money and wealth is because it's off the back of black people. So shut your goddamn dry lips. Anyway, what will we say? Yeah. So then, you know, saying about you don't sound or act black. That's the other one.
That I always used to find really offensive. When I was a
teenager. I didn't know John was
seriously.
Black.
No, yet literally, I didn't realize you were black when you turn up at your friend's house and you're just sort of like,
okay,
this is fun.
Like, there's so many, weird. Like one that
but people think it's a compliment. That was what the weird thing was, and it was like, are you mad?
Right. It's like, the thing is, it's like I can't even. It's so ludicrous that there are people in the world who look at you and I, and then there's something in them that feels this need. It's like, we're not quite the same. Like, what is in your head? It's just so fucking weird. Like, who hurt you? Show me on the doll. It's just very odd. One of the things that I get quite a lot is old ladies clutching bags close to them as I pass on the street, because I'm obviously on the rob as a black man, a big threatening black man. And
it's just sort of like, what you've got in your bag, Helga.
I don't want your polos.
I don't want. I've got more expensive things than you. Stolen sugar packets from the cafe. Get out.
The stolen sugar sachets that you make from the greasy spoon. I'm good.
Exactly.
I'm good.
The butter.
Then there's also there's the classic one of like being followed around the store by like
my god. No, but you know what annoys me? So there's this guy in Zara and he did it to Nia. And so Nia, friend from the States, beautiful black woman.
Amazing singer. Yes. An angel. Not you, Charlotte Church.
And so she loves a good shop and she's from the South. And she's always unlike me, she's always very well put together. Not that this has anything to do with anything, but she was going around shopping, and trust me, the girl can afford to shop. So she's going around having a little mosey. This arsehat clown he's done it to me before, but she was doing the thing where she was running around in circles, and then he was walking around in circles, didn't realize, and he's just watching on his little, because he feels really souped up now because he's got an iPad that he can. He's such a loser. And so she was like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "No." And he was like, "No, it wasn't." She's like, "Well, you just been following me around." No, she isn't that. She
make them look ridiculous.
And like he was like, "Oh no, it wasn't possible." But it happens to all. I've had that, and I've literally been in the store where there are literally white people robbing.
Yeah. One time I was in Amsterdam, we were coming back from Amsterdam, it was me and my girls, you know who you are, and they were like eyes on me and Lidgy, like a hawk, right, in Amsterdam Schiphol duty free. Meanwhile, other friends, blonde, blue-eyed friends, skipping around the shop, cleaning up.
It's just sort of like, I remember
it was like, you know what, I'm happy to be the decoy in that situation.
Literally, do you know what, you deserve it.
Fuck you, we're gonna clean you out, like.
But it was a case that I've had that several times. Just like stalked around stores, or oh god, there's just.
I mean, the thing that I get here as well is constantly like checking my bags at the checkout if I have a rucksack, and then I've stood back at certain times and watched, and they haven't done it to the next person, because they do, that is a thing in Germany, that they do check your bags, but it never happens when I'm with a white person, only happens when I'm by myself.
You know what, normally, because they know me in the car for crossroads.
Yeah, but this is the thing, it's in
no, so normally they don't do it, but you know what pissed me off? So they employed this new young black guy. I guess they told him, he was following me around the store. I was like, "Are you okay?"
House Negro,
and I was just like, "Are you okay?" And it was just like, "You need to leave me alone." And then there was a new security guy, and I walked in with my handbag, like, you know how some people have those shopping trolleys and they just load up those like trolleys,
old granny shopping trolleys.
Nah,
why? You're a fool.
No,
anyway,
it's okay. But they allow them to walk in and just stack up their shit. So I'd been shopping. I'd had in some other thing.
They put all the stuff inside.
Yeah, as opposed to in an open shopping bag. I have some other shopping from another supermarket in my bag, my shoulder. "You have to leave that on the side. You can't take a bag in." I'm like, "I'm sorry." No, this was like some new security guard. I was just sort of like, That's when I played that. I don't understand you. I'm sorry. I was like, and I said to him in English, I don't understand you. I'm really busy. Don't have time. He's like, no, it's back. It was just like, ran away. And then afterwards, he was like, you can't take the bag. I was like,
and yet you did. So fuck you.
No, he tried it a couple of times, and then he was just sort of like, leave her alone.
And I mean, yeah, I have called out the bag checking now on 2 or 3 occasions because it's like you said, like it's my local supermarket. It's not like this isn't the first time I've been in here. I fucking come in here 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And you're still pulling this shit. To be fair, it's mostly new when they get new staff.
New staff.
But so it's like I have to earn my position of you not seeing me as
fuck
a thief.
off.
Like, do one. Just, no. Another one that this has happened to me a few times is people assuming you can't swim because you're black.
Yeah, that's another thing, which is like weird and awful.
Weird. I think it's more in America because
there's a reason for that in America. Like you saw those images of what they weren't allowed to. And like this is how hateful these people are. When children were in pools, they would throw bleach into the pool when they're in there, like to get them out of the pool. And it's like, what happened to children? To children. It's like when I see that image of the young girl going to school and all those mothers and fathers, adults standing outside, screaming, so angry and rage. And it's just sort of like, that's not okay. And that happened.
She's 65.
She's only 65 Bridges, years
right?
old.
She's 65 and they want to talk about
we're
in a post-racial society.
They're like, get over it. It happened a long time ago.
Like, come on.
It's like, you're the kind of people that took your children to lynchings.
Yeah.
Like it was a concert.
They had like fucking like souvenir postcards. It's just
it's nuts.
It's unbelievable. I mean,
it's scary.
I mean, well, this is something that I have very drastically changed my like position on.
Sorry, excuse me, I just snorted.
You did, I heard that. Try snorting the one. Are you like willing now? What's your stance? I mean, what's your stance on dealing with the whites? Like, how do you?
You can't say it like that.
Why?
What's
your
said what I said?
Because to me, right, for me now in my life, like I'm somebody who really feels this shit. Like I'm very lucky, I guess, in the sense that apart from those microaggressions, which still take a toll over time.
It does take a toll. You're constantly on your guard. You never relax.
Constantly. I always feel like I have to be.
A white person will never understand how you just to be constantly on edge, constantly conscious of everyone else's feelings and making yourself smaller, making yourself like not thinking of other people's feelings because, I don't want them to be scared. I don't want them to think I'm a thief. I don't want them to think I'm a loud or angry or over the top person. And it's just sort of like, I don't have the freedoms that like, which they would never even dream of thinking. And for me, when you think about how to deal with it, you know how a lot of people are like, help me teach me about things. With certain friends, I'm willing to like, you know, because I know they are people who genuinely want to know and learn. Absolutely. If they want to ask me a question, I'm all open. Like seriously, I want to talk about it. That's great. But nowadays with other people, general people, especially those ones who want to have a devil's advocate conversation, you know what? Do one. I'm not doing it.
I'm not a debate. My life is not up for debate. Like that's that's the kind of
this is what my lived experience.
No way.
Not happening.
Exactly.
And also it's a case of I'm not the problem. There's been so long now that we've been like, we need to adapt, we need to learn, we need to forgive, we need to do X, Y, and Z. We've done a lot and it's not worked.
And it's not our fucking thing that we do.
Exactly. We're not the problem. So you're the problem. You fix it. Come to me when you've made it better. I'm not the problem. Fix it. Sort it out.
I'm not. I'm like you. I'm not in it to like. I'm very guarded against against like new white people coming into my sphere because because I don't know you, and when is going to be that time when you flip?
You show your ass.
When you show your ass, right? Because it's happened so many times.
I've seen it several times.
And I'm not willing to
so
have to deal with the like the trauma of that, because it's fucking traumatic.
It's exhausting.
And so it's exhausting. And so I curate the white people I let into my space very carefully, because I'm not, like you said, we've had to make ourselves small and this and consider. I'm not doing that anymore.
No, I
if you have a
refuse now.
problem with that, then fuck
Bye.
off. I don't need to be your friend. I'm not asking you.
Bye.
I didn't want to talk to you anyway. I'll see you later. Like, when it comes to my friends, I want to have that conversation. I think it's a necessary conversation, because if you are really truly friends with someone, and as a white person who wants to be friends with black people, you need to hold space for us to be able to voice our opinions and our hurt, because there's a lot of fucked up shit that happens to black people on a daily basis.
Because I know that I know with certain there's been a case where it hasn't been discussed, and it's just because I know they feel uncomfortable and awkward. Obviously these aren't very close friends, but it's like, you know, people that I have contact with every now and again, and I recall feeling like I couldn't vocalize something because I didn't want it to constantly be that conversation. Because I remember there were incidents where you go out and you meet someone and they'll be like, hey, I'm cool, let's talk about race at a party. And you're just like, fuck off. No, now's not the time. But it's just sort of like, you know, they feel a bit awkward about something. So you're just sort of like, okay, right, moderate. Now I don't give a shit. So I don't moderate anything. But it's a case of, I have time for people who genuinely care, but I'm not teaching people. I'm not here to give them an option.
Information out there.
You know better. Everyone knows better.
Out there for people. If you really want to be anti-racist, there are myriad resources out there now on the internet.
There's and it's just sort of like, we're always, especially the black community, we're always the one who have to be supportive, whether it's for women's rights, whether it's for another group of people, other groups of people of color, whether it's for something else. And we're always supposed to be there and support everyone, but not everyone comes to our aid when it counts. Well, I mean, I'm tired of it, and it's sad and it's boring.
That takes us kind of onto our next point about the anti-blackness, anti-black racism that exists within other communities of color, basically. Like some of the worst racism comes from like Asian communities, East Asian,
100%,
Arab
100%.
Some of the worst
it's awful. It's awful.
I remember color.
I remember seeing it in Ghana, because they have a large Lebanese community there, and so they'd be sent over by their families to set up the businesses. They don't want to be there, and they would just treat the people awfully. It was hideous. I remember the first racism I experienced at school was from a woman of color. So that was a point. Also, just going to places I've had like, from wherever they are, they've treated me a certain way because they feel like they're superior. And it's just sort of like, you're buying into this, and it's like, they don't fucking like you. They think you're an idiot too, but they're just sort of like, oh yes, I'm climbing the step. But then when they get butthurt, it's like, come help us. We're all in it together. It's like, no, we weren't. No, we weren't.
I know. Well, I mean, you're right, but ultimately, you're right. And I find it's a daily practice to be... to find the sympathy for other people when you're not showing it yourself. But ultimately, that is the only way we defeat this bullshit.
Yes and no, but it's also called one of the clear signs of madness is repeating something that doesn't work. So if you constantly do something and you're shown that they won't help you or they won't do the same for you, when comes the point when you turn around and say, actually, do you know what? No, I'm not going to stand up for you until you prove yourself to me. I've done my part. Prove yourself to me. It's like, for example, what's been happening with the Asian community recently is disgusting. I don't tolerate it. I don't abide by it. But what I found really annoying was when there were all these images of like Black and brown holding hands. When all the Black Lives Matter, all these huge Asian communities, where were you? I didn't see any posts about anything. Nothing. Silence. So do you know what? I'm stepping back. I'm there for you. If I was to see something on the street happening, I will intervene. I will get involved. But I'm not going to be actively going around posting shit and doing that, because you don't do that for me. I will not stand by while someone is having injustice. Never. But I do not, I was actually annoyed when I saw all of these things. It's like, we have to come together against this common enemy. And it was like, but you were part of the problem and you didn't come together with us. There was a noted silence from your community. So that resonates with me.
I can't argue with
that. That really resonates with me.
It's, you know, and it's deeply ingrained. I mean, we've seen
I know
so many
a lot of people are going to be
like,
annoyed about that.
Well, but the thing is, it's true.
It's the truth.
It's true. And
we've been looked down on.
It's, you know, black people are on the bottom rung in every culture. Basically.
It's like, at least we're not them.
And it's deeply ingrained in like Asian cultures, and you know, that goes into the next point about like colorism, like the, you know, I mean, there's colorism exists within the black community, but colorism is also 100% prevalent within, you know, so many Asian communities where the lighter you are, the brighter.
Well, there's a huge business in bleaching.
There's a huge business of Asian women lightening their skin, Indian women, and then also, unfortunately, in a lot of African countries as well, because.
And it's again, so bad.
You know, and but it's another tactic of this wait, hold on, it's another tactic of this virus of whiteness, right? Is to say that, okay, well, you're like the really indoctrinated dark ones are useless and terrible, but if you're a bit lighter, if you're a bit like caramel looking, then you know you can
that's because
the scale a bit, and it keeps
house Negroes
fighting, but it keeps us fighting against each other when the problem is not this, the problem is this, right? And so, but this is what I mean, this virus is a genius virus, but it's just, like with the colorism thing, I don't even know, because,
well, look, I've seen it with guys, like, for example, being here in Spain, I've seen, so myself, Tosin, Nia, Tosin, she's a model, beautiful black woman. Gorgeous. Nia, another beautiful black woman, very talented, very well educated, and then myself. And so, literally,
you're beautiful too, Efiba.
I know, right? And literally sometimes being treated by people who should know better. And it's just been, we've noticed it. We personally noticed it and been like, wow. That's really disturbing.
Well, you have to say the point that all three of you are dark-skinned women.
We're all dark-skinned black women. And it was a case of one of our own.
Yeah.
And it was a case of that we saw that there was a different treatment. We don't even realize this fool realizes what he did. But it was just sort of like, wow, that and I thought it was just me. And then it wasn't until we spoke amongst each other and we were just like, and it was so disappointing because and it was so upsetting.
This is the thing, is that like some black men, black men are some of the worst perpetrators of colorism, right?
Absolutely.
When you watch videos like hip hop videos, rap videos,
so only like light skin
honey is this bullshit, like
and it's like, you're black as midnight.
Yeah,
you need to calm down. What does your mother look like?
And the other thing is that it's like the denial of colorism is very prevalent. Like there's still a lot of black people who are like, no, that's bullshit. So it's like,
what?
It's like, dark. There's a lot of light-skinned black, so dark-skinned black people get it from white people and everyone else, and from within their own community, because there's still a lot of black people who don't understand what colorism is or even deny its existence. So that's so insidious, and this disease and virus is baked into every fucking level of our like
crevice of society.
Yeah, like it's like dry stone walled in there. It's just
it's that foamy stuff that you spray and
then it gets really hard, right?
Yeah.
But then I do think one of the things that's improving is representation, and especially I think representation of dark-skinned people. It's because nowhere near enough, but it is definitely, we've seen like Michaela Cole, like fire,
but that's because she fought on her own, and because she's a brilliant mind. But still today I see with a lot of adverts and certain things, so it would either be the extreme, the dark black woman with the shaved head and the big lips and very dark, and it's like that kind of image, that's allowed. But otherwise, if you see in adverts or in TV, it has to be the palatable afro hair, which is with the light skin. And so with the couples, if you see an interracial couple on TV, you can have a dark black man
and
a white woman,
and a white
but
selling.
You can't have a dark black woman. I have not seen any adverts for dark black women. It's always really like slightly lighter. Anymore. I don't really either, but from what I see, whether it's in films, TV, anything like that, it's always a slightly more palatable shade. It's like that guy who got in trouble because he was saying he was comparing women to toast, and he was like, black women to toast. Yeah, he got fired on a radio show, and he was like, I'm a comedian, I didn't mean it to be offensive, and he said Halle Berry is like that toasty shade. Yeah, and so it's like there's a palatable or acceptable, so you have to have certain features a certain way or a certain hair texture for it to be considered, okay, we can push this out into the public sphere, but this is not still 100% comfortable in particular roles, unless it's sort of like she's an angry boss bitch or something like that. You know, there's specific roles. We're not soft and, you know, playing those different roles yet. It's always a very specific.
You never see a dark-skinned woman, or very rarely as a romantic lead, like unless it's something like Queen and Slim, where it's with a black man, right? A dark-skinned black man. Like the one thing I'm really looking forward to is seeing this new thing of Anne Boleyn with Jodie. She's from Queen and Slim. I forget what her surname is. She's married to Joshua Jackson, but she's like and she's dark-skinned, like a dark-skinned black Anne Boleyn. So I'm just waiting for the heads to start swiveling around. But there's people like Michaela Cole, Viola Davis, like the representation and of black people in general is getting better. Like people like Issa Rae, like all these creators that are, and Lena Waithe, that are like coming up now and making space for other black people, right? And things like Pose as well, all that kind of stuff is great.
Because for example, even in Bridgerton,
at least and Bridgerton too, but that in itself as well, even though it's great that they kind of did that. I
still had issues with that.
It's like living in a fantasy world. Like that's not what the situation was at that time. It did feel slightly uneasy at times with that, and it just didn't sit quite right with me.
There was something off, because it was like, obviously the black man in power wasn't obviously a pig and out of control, couldn't do that. And then it was like, you know, there were all these certain tropes still in there, and I was just sort of like, oh. And then it was like, so the black woman, she has to be an older woman who's looking after someone. It's always playing the nurturing, caring role, never like the love interest or the, like, you know, I'm vulnerable and being nurtured. So it was just, we're here to nurse. It's like, bugger off.
It's true.
Your own shit.
We've got a way to go, definitely. But I'm, at least in the world of TV world, I'm kind of hopeful, because I do see
it's changing
a lot more content being made by black creators, and amazing content as well. But in the real world, for the future, I don't know. I mean, right now we're going backwards. In the UK, we're going backwards. I don't know. This is the thing about, this is what I mean. I just have to like curate the white people I let near me very carefully, because there's a lot of ignorance and stupidity and racism out there.
I just can't call it what it is.
Just because you're not burning a cross on my lawn, it's still racism, right?
And it still hurts, and it's exhausting.
It's still damaging, and then that's only talking about like interpersonal interactions. That's not talking about the whole systemic you know, structural racism thing. So I all I can say to kind of bring things to a close about racism is like, it's not cool.
Don't do it, kids.
Don't do it.
It's not cool. It's not fun.
I just think as I can only speak for myself. I have had to kind of build a certain amount of a wall. Donald Trump did not pay for it. Because the more I live life, and the more I see, and the more I understand about how this caste system works, the harder it is for me to deal with people on a day-to-day basis, where I'm like, why aren't you fixing this? Why is this
you know what it is? As I get older and the more aware I become of it, it's quite sad, because it's just sort of like the shackles have fallen from my eyes, and it's just like, oh my God, I'm actually seeing it and seeing how it really does happen, and it's not that you're getting old and bitter. It's just how it's affecting your lives and how you move and how you can move forward and what you can do. And it's just really sad that even now in this day and age that we're still dealing with the same old tired shit. And it's just like, really, people, really. And
we've got bigger fish to fry. We really do. Like this. And the thing is, is like, if white people woke up tomorrow and were like, okay, we're going to fix this, it would be fixed like that.
Yeah.
And they don't, because they have a vested interest.
Call out your other racist friends when they're chatting shit.
Need to do. Like, and everyone's got a racist uncle or a racist
I'm making jokes.
Right?
Oh, but he's old, blah blah blah. It's like no, because that whole thing, it's like, oh, she was old. She's got, because we were out and we were having lunch and
my
we were
grandma
talking.
was old and she wasn't a racist.
No,
don't tell me you're old. Like,
no, but this was the thing, because this was what was really telling. So we were sat down and we were all talking and eating, laughing, and there was this old woman with another woman who was slightly older, slightly old too, but slightly younger. But so the woman turned around and was like, just really aggressively shushed us in the restaurant, directly at us. And it was just like, it clearly was just sort of like, she didn't like the fact that there were 3 Black women at the table and we were having a nice time and that we were friendly with the people who in the restaurant and blah, blah, blah. And so she was just being an asshole. And so we shushed her back, obviously, but we became louder. And then it was just sort of afterwards, Nia turned around, she was just sort of like, if you have a problem with something, you should really just approach, there's a way of talking and communicating with people without being rude. Basically, she was racist. And then the woman with her is like, oh, she's old, she's got dementia. So yeah. And so it's like, oh, so she forgot to be racist. She forgot to hide her racism. It's like, I don't give a shit. Yeah. And they're like, no, it's, oh, she's old and she's immensely ill. No, so she forgot to hide her racism. So she's being an asshole. Call her out. Don't care.
Call it that's white people have to call it out every single time. That's it, basically.
So I'm sorry you're ill, but that's bullshit. No.
Have you got a feral fact for us?
I do have a feral fact.
It's time for feral fact.
I actually had several feral facts. I know. I really got into it. I was like, no. I've got loads, but and then I was like, what one do you think?
You edited them down.
Yes, I did. So this one, did you know that in France, because obviously speaking about The Walking Dead and whatnot, so I was like, did you know in France? Yeah, did you know in France that you can legally marry a dead person?
What?
Yeah. So you can legally.
She said, can I just say that Efiba sent this to me yesterday about, she was like French, and I was like, why do you go straight to like dead corpse sex fucking? Like necrophilia Nancy. Anyway, continue.
No, but obviously it's not as filthy as it sounds. Basically, the reason why is if you can prove that you were going to get married before the person passed away, you can legally get married posthumously. So
but what, to get the assets?
Yeah, pretty much. Literally, he loved me. Daddy wanted to get along to me. That's the dumbest
thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's very French.
I feel like that's very French.
It's very French, isn't it? It's brilliant though.
Can you do
Get myself a French sugar daddy?
So basically, Monsieur Dubois,
Monsieur dead soon,
and Mademoiselle Leclerc. Is who was soon to be Madame Dubois. It's like, he wanted to marry me. How do you prove it?
Well, yeah, obviously you have to have some sort of proof that was going to happen. But if you can,
that's very
like, if you can bring out a ring and like nowadays it wouldn't be hard.
Is it still not the rule that unless you consummate the wedding, the marriage, it's not official?
Apparently not. Well, clearly they consummated before. They're French. But they don't buy. They don't buy before they try. That was
sinful sex. That was premarital sex.
Doesn't matter. That
you need to move to France and find yourself a doddery.
Vive la France! Vive la France!
You go and like set yourself up as a carer in like a really posh care home and work the magic.
You know what? It's not a bad idea.
I'd do it.
No, I can't. I can't wipe like liver spots, bottoms. I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't. I can see it now.
Always wipe front to back. Just a reminder.
It's the loose flesh and the liver spots. It's literally freaking me out.
Foie gras booties.
Oh, no, not today.
I do find that very feral.
It is rather feral. I quite like it though. I'm like, vive la France, right?
Vive la France, right? Vive la différence.
Bien sûr, you can marry a dead person.
All right, well, I'm booking my ticket on the Eurostar as we speak.
Oh my God.
All right, well, I mean, obviously we could talk about race for like, how long have we been talking? We've been talking for like an hour and 15 minutes.
Have we?
I think so. It's quite a long time.
Oh, yes, I forgot to say. It was, I'll save it for another day.
No, what?
No, because with the whole representation thing, I was saying, I remember growing up and the only sort of black representation was like Whoopi Goldberg, Naomi Campbell, and Oprah, and I feel like I encapsulate all of them.
You do. You do, very much
Whoopi's eyebrows.
Whoopi's eyebrows, and there have been times when you have had a certain air of Seeley about you. At 10 o'clock in the morning the day after. Naomi Campbell, that's what those guys in Italy called you when we went for the sex meal.
Yeah, before I got bloated River Corpse body.
Yeah.
This was banging. And then, Oprah's heart and wisdom. I've got Whoopi's
that's the one I find the hardest to believe.
Fuck you and your couch. Charlie Murphy.
I mean, my couch. It's out like a sofa bed. It should be called my day bed because
your day bed. That
it's
is
never
magical
in couch
place.
Form. Everybody,
I love it.
I don't live in a bed set. It's a one bed. Okay. It's a studio. Well, I think we will probably revisit race again in a different.
Yeah, it's always coming up.
It's always coming up like a morning wood. But I think for today,
that was actually not bad. I did have a rant, but you did really well. I was so proud of you.
I was
trying
so really hard not to like. I was like, but then I was like, at points, I was like, oh, Efiba, she's getting really angry in my head. But I was like, do you know what? You have every fucking right. Every black person on this planet has the right to be angry. Go off, sis. Go off. And on that note, I think we would like to remind our listeners to what? Stay
feral.
Smooth. Well done. We'll get that better next week. But until next week, take care. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Oh my God, where's that wrong?
There is we should start saying that. Yeah.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
We will see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Should have said that at the beginning.
Yes.
Like and subscribe, and we will see you next Woche.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye.
Ciao.